Hello and welcome to our second podcast of this series of podcasts on football. I'm Azad, a Britsent tutor here, and I'm joined again by Jack. Hello, Jack.
Hi, Azad, mate. Are you okay?
Yes, how are you? How's your weekend going?
Oh, it's brilliant. I've managed to get out in the sun, do a bit of running, do a bit of reading. I'm demolishing books at the moment during lockdown, so brilliant. I'm all happy. Getting my brain box working quite well, I think.
Yeah, I'm all for productivity myself. That sounds amazing.
Brilliant. How's everything in London? Is everything okay?
Everything's okay. You're in Manchester at the moment, right?
That's right. It's usually a bit colder in Manchester, but luckily we've got nice weather, which is so unusual for the north.
It is for Manchester, yes. I know. It's actually quite well known for that weather. When the more north you go, the worse the weather gets.
Have you heard the phrase before, it's grim up north?
I have.
Yeah, it's quite a famous thing. Like, Southerners don't like coming up to places like Lancashire and Yorkshire and
just make sure you take your fleece and a rain jacket and an umbrella. Just take all this stuff. You don't need food.
Yeah.
You don't need essential supplies.
Exactly.
These are your essential supplies. That's all you need.
That's all you need. And also you save a bit of money as well. It's cheaper than for many reasons.
That is the small but very, very important factor. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Anyway, today we are going to be speaking about the reasons why we support our favorite team. So if you watched or if you listened to the previous podcast, you'll find that our favorite teams were Arsenal and Manchester United, respectively. And today we're going to speak about the reason why. So lots of people, they wonder why we support our favorite teams. So today, Jack is going to tell us about why he supports Manchester United. So would you like to start, Jack?
Yes, I would ask that. Actually, right now, as we're recording the podcast, I'm looking at Old Trafford. I managed to get a flat which overlooks the Theatre of Dreams, which for me, as a Manchester United fan, is a dream come true. And actually, I was running past there this morning, and I knew we were going to have this conversation about why we support our teams. And because I went quite early, I went past Old Trafford, and we have two quite important statues. But there's three, but I ran past two. And one is of a famous manager called Sir Matt Busby, who brought lots of success to us in the 60s and in the 50s. And then there is what we call the Holy Trinity, the United Trinity of great players like Bobby Charlton, George Best and Dennis Law. We'll talk about that probably another time because they're more historic figures. But I've been a Manchester United fan for as long as I can remember. I think I've mentioned to you before, but one of my first memories in life was, I don't know why, this might be how sad my childhood was, but my dad had a keyring with a player called Gary Pallister on it, who was a defender for Manchester United in the early 90s when I was growing up. But the player that really got me into it was a Frenchman called Eric Cantona. And he, for me today, is still not just one of my favorite footballers, he's one of my favorite people. You know, people do those fantasy dinner parties. Who would you invite to your dream dinner party? Eric Cantona is top of my list. He had charisma, style, grace, ability to lead and command on the pitch. He brought us so much success. And he arrived from one of our main rivals, Leeds United, in 1992, I believe, in the early 90s anyway, for quite a relatively expensive price at the time, but now retrospectively it looks cheap, a bargain, as we might say.
It's very cheap.
Yeah, it's only a million. I mean, who doesn't have $1 million these days, right?
We wish.
Yeah, we definitely do. And with him, we won our first league title in over 20 years. And his just influence, he was only there for a short period of time compared to other players, about 5 years or so. But the success and the seeds of success that he planted alongside Alex Ferguson, the great manager, cemented Manchester United as the premier English club in the 90s and 2000s. So the 13 titles that came, the European Cups. I mean, Eric Cantona never won a European Cup with us. He left in 1997. And we won our Champions League in 1999 in the treble winning season.
Oh.
But
it's interesting.
He had such an influence on that team that would go and win it. I mean, you go to matches today and we still sing his name from the terraces. It's beautiful. I mean, he is almost canonized as a saint at Old Trafford in a way, just because he's so revered and loved, not just for the player he was. He didn't score many goals. We could talk about Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard for other teams, and they were far more prolific. But it was the influence and also the foreignness. I know it's only France, but there was a certain exoticism of him playing. It's one of the first foreign players to really make an impact in the UK. And that just sort of ignited an interest, an intrigue, and also a sort of, not fear, but he was a controversial character as well. I mean, he had fights. He went to prison for a while as well.
Wow.
For kicking a fan in probably the most infamous incident in Premier League history against Crystal Palace. But he was more than that. And this is why we call him King Eric as well. And every week it makes me smile whenever we sing about Eric Cantona.
Yeah.
And also, I how much I love my city of Manchester. I love my geographical heritage with the city and with Manchester United. It's the most supported club in the world, or one of them at least. And I feel proud that I come from that city. I'm in touching distance of the stadium. Half of my family are Manchester United fans, half of them are City. And we have arguments, debates, but it fuels myself as a character and it fuels Manchester. It's brilliant. So yeah, long story short, Eric Cantona, success in the 90s, and my coming from Manchester all cemented my love for the Red Devils, the best team in the world.
In your opinion?
Yeah, okay.
No, I think with Eric Cantona, even the name, it just sounds so iconic, doesn't it? Just
Definitely.
hearing Eric.
Yes.
Eric Cantona. It's not just any guy, he's Eric Cantona.
That's right.
I think the word that comes, or the phrase that comes to my mind is the term cult hero.
Brilliant.
Even though I think he goes above the term cult hero. A cult hero is somebody that maybe he's not such a great player per se. He could be a great player, but he doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But just the whole society, the whole club, the whole fan base, they love him. They love him for whatever reason.
Yes.
For his off-field antics or his on-field antics, whatever. They just love this guy completely. And that's what we call a cult hero. So I think Eric Cantona, he is definitely a cult hero, but I think he goes above. That's why you call him King Eric. That's why you sing his name every single week. That's why Manchester United, they just love speaking about him. They love, remembering him.
That's a really nice description, actually. Yeah, and his being iconic. I mean, he played with his collar turned up. He was arrogant. He was cocky, but other teams maybe didn't like him, but you couldn't ignore him. I mean, we loved him with unconditional love. That means no matter what happened, we still adored him. That's why I fell in love with Manchester United. No,
that's why I find it quite funny when you called him, some people, they call him the saint, or he's like a saint. I thought this guy was not a saint at all. He went to prison for kicking a fan, or
he was definitely a devil.
He was keeping his collars up. He was arrogant in his persona and everything that he did. But it's a very interesting. Even after he finished football, I think he stopped watching football for a long, long time as well. And his story is an amazing story, just as a person, as a character. I remember growing up, Jogo Benito. That was an amazing series as well, watching that. So that was incredible. Just the man itself is credible. So he kind of made you into a Manchester United fan. He's the cause of you becoming a Manchester United fan. Definitely. Among other reasons, of course, right?
Yeah, when you ask me this question, there are many, many different reasons, the influence of family and friends. I mean, pretty much everyone at my school when I was younger was a Manchester United fan. But when I look back now, the intrigue with a character like Cantona, and as you said, the name itself just resonates. There is only one Eric Cantona.
Excellent. Okay, so going on to the reason why I support Arsenal is, honestly, it started almost exactly 16 years ago today.
Long time ago, that, Azad.
Very, very long time ago. Very long time ago. I'm an old man. And at that time, Arsenal was so successful. They were just winning everything that there was to win, would you say, nationally, right?
Yeah, nationally. Not in Europe, but that's okay.
Not in Europe. In Euros, we were hopeless. It was just terrible. Anyway, at that time, we were just winning the Premier League. we had a fierce competition with Manchester United. But at that time, I was a young kid and I was growing up in the area where Arsenal, or the stadium was about 10 minutes away at the Highbury Stadium. They've moved to the Emirates Stadium now, but still, they're very close. Both of the stadiums are very close to me.
Where is Highbury Stadium and Emirates Stadium? Which part of London is it in?
It's in North London, and we have our rivals, Tottenham, in this area. But generally, this area, North London, is dominated by these two teams, Tottenham Hotspur with Sonny, of course, and Arsenal with my team. Okay, so support Arsenal if you're listening. At that time, I remember coming out of my house and there was a huge, massive noise coming out, and I was very curious what's going on. So I actually stepped out of my house and I saw this open top bus parade. So the people that don't know what this means, an open top bus, just imagine a bus, a normal bus, a London bus, but the top part is open. There's no roof on the top. And people, they use this for like tours around the city. I think they have this in Manchester as well, where they go around the city just looking at the museums and the different sites to see. So
usually getting wet as well.
Usually getting wet in Manchester,
Yeah.
yes, which we've alluded to already. So they actually hired one of these when they are celebrating a victory of the Premier League or the FA Cup or Champions League, not in Arsenal's case. But they're usually celebrating something. So I just remember seeing this, and it was an incredible moment, seeing my favourite players just right outside my doorstep. Imagine seeing your favourite players, including Thierry Henry. I think in that season, he got 30 goals in the league.
Incredible.
Patrick Vieira, the iconic, again, another cult hero, I believe. The captain for Arsenal. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Amazing player.
He was a fantastic player, Patrick Vieira.
Brilliant. All-round amazing player. Midfielder, leader, player, everything. They had Dennis Bergkamp. They called him the non-flying Dutchman because of his fear of flying. He actually refused to go to any other games away from home in a different country because he was actually very scared of flying. So that's why they call him the non-flying Dutchman. Pires, the French winger, Lehman, just the whole team I could name you, but I don't think we have time for that. And also a player that we're going to mention in a future podcast is the player Sol Campbell, which lots of Tottenham fans, they call him a traitor. Even till now, they hate him. They just don't like his face, don't like seeing him because he moved from Tottenham to Arsenal. Their biggest rivals. Is just a sin, a massive sin to move.
Sin is
to move from a team that is your biggest rivals to from Tottenham to Arsenal. It's incredible.
It's like swapping your family, isn't it?
Basically,
it's like saying, I don't want to be part of this family anymore. I'm going to move to the neighbours.
Exactly. It's just don't do it. Never do it. But I would love Heung-min Son to do it because he would be amazing at Arsenal. So if you're listening to this, Sonny, please come. And that season was an incredible season for many reasons, but one of the main reasons is because they call that the Invincibles season. Now, the Invincibles, the meaning of Invincibles is when you are, the definition is when you're too powerful to be defeated or overcome. So this was Arsenal in a nutshell. The whole season, they went unbeaten, which hasn't been repeated ever in the Premier League history. So I think it's incredible, that achievement, and that's what caused me to become an Arsenal fan.
It is one of the most memorable seasons. I mean, Arsenal fans have been banging on about it ever since, but it is quite impressive. That
you would too, though. Let's be honest. Let's just clear this up once and for all, right? Jack, I know you speak about, okay, we bang on about this, we talk about it a lot, we sing about it, we have a chant as well. We have a chant about it. But you would as well. Honestly, you would. Nobody has done this ever again. We actually got the golden trophy. If you do Google it, a golden Premier League trophy, this is the only one. And they actually gave this to Arsene Wenger as a parting gift.
When he retired, right?
When he retired. So
was that the last Premier League title that you won as well?
Yes, it was.
Just checking. I was just
thank
checking.
You for that.
Get confused sometimes.
We'll leave it at that.
But that was a fantastic.
It was.
As you say, as you can see, the rivalry between the two clubs, and particularly that season of Arsenal going undefeated, when they were Manchester United's main rivals it was a very, very good achievement.
In some ways, we had to go undefeated because of the level of Manchester United. If I had to praise you guys once in this series of podcasts, this is my time.
I will take your praise. Thank you.
You kind of pushed us to the next level.
Yes.
And if you guys were not there, if Manchester United was not there, the likes of Roy Keane and David Beckham, and I think we're talking about the right time.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I think David Beckham had just left in 2003, but you're talking about Scholes, Keane, and Vieira had a massive beef, as the kids say, and
what does that mean, beef?
Beef, not
right?
hatred, problems with each other. Yeah, it's sort of from the cow. It's like, what's your beef? What's your problem? And Wenger and
like a fight.
Yeah, it's like a fight. And Wenger and Ferguson famously didn't get on. Yep. And there was things like the Battle of Old Trafford and things like that, which I'm sure we'll cover in a future podcast, I think.
Yep. Good, excellent. So this is the reason why I supported the best team in the world.
In 2004.
Thanks for that. Jack, you just killed it.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you again for joining us for another podcast. We hope to see you again. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.